Hi everyone, it's Miss Kelly from the Wakanda Area Library. Today I'm going to tell you what we're doing with this month's Art to Go. So for this month you'll be making a giant ice cream cone, and in your bag you're going to find a cone, a craft stick, some ice cream. I made several flavors, so this ice cream is strawberry. I have a sphere, I have a styrofoam ball here, a cherry for the top, some craft paper. Alright, so make sure I got everything out there. Alright, and some little pieces of Wiki Stick too, which is just a little crafting material that we're going to use to make some sprinkles with. So you'll need some scissors, and you're going to need some glue or tape for sure. And you're going to need something to protect your work area with, because our ice cream is actually made out of glue and acrylic paint. So we want to make sure you protect your work surface. So that actually is where we're going to get started. So let's move these to the side. And now I've got this plate here, which is going to make it easier for me to pour the glue over the top of this sphere here. So, and I've got something smaller, so I'm going to have an open edge, because first off, if I put it directly on here, it's going to glue to the plate, which it'll kind of rip up the edges. So we elevate it this way, put something underneath it. You could use a cup or anything, even the lid, the container of your paint that came in, that would work too. So now you have the craft stick, so you can ice it on if you want. I kind of like both. I'm going to pour a little bit. I like it to use that drippy look. Right. Before you pour yours, now I just got mine out and got it ready. I stirred it really well. You might need to stir it because sometimes the paint can separate a little bit from it, so you're going to want to make sure you stir it first to make sure. Then you can hold it, and you can spread it down if you want, like this. You can see. It might pour a little faster if it pours. You're going to find sometimes that it's going to look a little thin, so I experimented a little bit with this. What I did is pour on one layer and let it dry, and then I kind of went back and you could see a little of the white through, and I poured some more on and let it dry again. Depending on how warm it is where you're working, it could take a little while for it to dry. It could take a little bit longer. I let mine dry for about an hour. But that's why we're doing this first, so you can start with this and kind of put this to the side and let it dry while you're working on other parts of your project. Yikes! That's why we protected the work surface. It's pretty sticky and messy, but this is just regular school glue, so it should wash off your hands pretty easily. But it is acrylic paint, so make sure you protect your surface in your clothing. Okay. Right. I'm gonna pour a little bit down here. Good too to make sure you get down and look around the edges, because you can see that right down on some of the edges you can see that it didn't go all the way down. So I'm going to go back. That could be your second coat though, and you go back and check it. Right. Makes it a lot easier to work with though when you do keep it elevated like this. You can really see where you need to fill in those gaps. You need to just always bring some right back up in the bottom like that. But remember, it's supposed to look like ice cream, so if it's kind of drippy, if it's kind of drippy, it's okay. We just want to make sure, in some areas you don't want to see the white through it. It looks really thin. Like I said, I did a couple different colors of ice cream. I think I did strawberry or vanilla. You'll be surprised when you open your bag. Alright. So once you think you've got the whole thing covered with the initial layer, with your first layer, I'm just going to go around and check these bottoms. Alright. That looks pretty good. Okay, we'll go ahead and set this to the side and let this dry while we work on our next piece. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to the cone. So you can see on your craft paper, if you turn it over, I've already made a curved line for you there, and it's going to measure from the base to the top of your cone here. So go ahead and take your scissors and cut right on that line. Now everybody's gotten a little bit different kind of brown tones or printed craft paper. If you want, this is entirely up to you. You can use the white side and decorate it any way you want, or you can draw a cone pattern on there you want. You can decorate this more if you want. I'm gonna do my brown side out this time. This you can use a combination of glue and tape, so I think is what I'm gonna do, just because I wanted to adhere a little quicker so I can show you guys what we're gonna do next. Put a nice line of glue along And then you're gonna line it up with the top of your cone. Okay. It's important to make sure it's on there really well. And also use a piece of tape to make sure it stays down so we can keep gluing right now so you guys can see the whole up. So I'm just gonna turn it up. You can see them at the top. Just hold it down with a piece of tape. That's gonna get covered. You're gonna roll it all the way around. You can see I wanna try and make sure I cover that. So you can try and kind of adjust it a little bit so you get to the top to make sure it covers your top. Looks like I might need to move it over a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to glue along this edge too. And just kind of roll it tight. This is my kind of ice cream cone, right size. Right back a little bit glue here. Alright. Cone is ready. Now what's gonna happen, your ice cream scoop is gonna land right on top here. We're gonna glue it on. If you want, you can take some leftover scrap paper or even some newspaper and crumble it up and fill that cavity up. If you think it'll make it a little bit more stable, you can put something right on top in there so it'll have something more to land on. You can use any kind of leftover, even your leftover foam paper, and pack it with that. So now that your cone's ready, we can move that to the side and we're gonna work on your sprinkles. So inside your kit, you're gonna find these very small pieces of Wikki Stix, or little tiny pieces like this. I'm gonna put them down here so you can see. They're already kind of cut to about the size and similar shape as a sprinkle, but if you take your finger and roll it like this a little bit, you're gonna get a nicer sprinkle shape. So just kind of shape into your sprinkle. So go ahead and do that with all your pieces of the Wikki Stick. Okay, so we've got all our parts and we're ready to assemble. We've got our cone that we've wrapped in our paper, and now our ice cream's pretty dry. It's a little tacky on the bottom. That's okay because we're gonna glue it on. I've got all my sprinkles I made. I've got my cherry fur on top, and I decided I thought it might be fun to put a little face on mine. It's entirely optional. If you want to do that, you can do that with yours. So let's grab some glue. And we're gonna, even though this is glue-based paint that we have on here, I mean, I let it dry it's pretty dry. It might still feel a little tacky, but I don't really think that's quite enough to stick the sprinkles on, or for sure, not the cherry on top. So you're still gonna need a little bit of glue. And actually, when you add a little bit of the paint to it, it kind of takes away the stickiness of it. It makes it a little bit more slick. So like I said, I decided I wanted to add a little face on mine. So I'm gonna put that in. I think it's really cute when you put faces on food. So I hole punched a couple little eyes here, and then I cut a tiny little smile. It's for sure, I could even feel how slippery this is, so it's definitely good to add a little extra glue. My little face on there. There we go, like that. All right, and then next I'm gonna add my sprinkles, and I'm gonna keep that spot in the middle clean because I want to put a cherry on top of my ice cream. Just keep adding these little dots of glue around, and that's where I'm going to stick my sprinkles on. You can put as many or as few on as you want. Actually, you could put some on, maybe then stop and take a look and see how that's looking. You can decide if it needs a little bit more. These Wikki Stix are a little sticky, but you still definitely need to put a little dot of glue on there. Remember, I'm keeping an empty spot in the middle. That's why it looks like it's a bit. I could definitely put on a few more though, maybe a little bit by the face over here. This is something that you can, once it's done and you've assembled it, you might go back and decide it needs a couple more. And don't forget, your glue's gonna dry clear, so it's not gonna change the look of it. I think big food is fun, especially if it's got a face on it. And it feels summery. Let's add our cherry on top. Ooh, now, in order to glue this on, right at the end. In order to glue this on, I found the best way to do it is maybe to put, here we go. Use a large glass so we can set it in the glass. Okay. So we'll let this dry for a few minutes before we attach it to our cone. Okay, it seems like everything's pretty dry. We're gonna go ahead and stick them onto the cone, turn it over, and put a nice coating of glue all the way around the edge. I'm going in a little bit because I'm gonna come back and kind of rub it into the edge. So in this trick, it'll help a lot if you have a glass you can set your cone in, because it does need to stand up to dry. So if you have a glass or something that you can kind of prop it up in, it'll be really helpful. Trying to get it all the way out to the edge, because if you see, we've got kind of a thin edge to set it on. But if you did decide to stuff your cone like that, it will give it a little bit more, something to adhere to stick to. All right. Remember, it doesn't matter if you're getting it facing forward, it's going to be the same from all directions. I'm going to push it down in there a little bit. There you have it. Remember, let it stand up till it's done drying. You can kind of adjust it. You can push it down in there a little bit more if you want. Hope you guys have fun. Send me pictures of your giant cones and keep an eye out for next month's Art to Go. Bye now.